You just couldn't help yourself, Jerry, could you? He just couldn't help himself. And I really don't blame him because, well, what we're about to discuss today is very, very much so on brand for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, before we get to the content, I wanted to let you guys know that we are giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and turn on our notifications, and we're going to announce the giveaway winner at the beginning of August. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Typically, I try to come at you guys as unbiased as I possibly can be. And for those of you guys that have followed me or follow me on Instagram or follow me on Twitter, you guys know that I bear the unfortunate curse of being a Dallas Cowboys fan. And what stinks about my Dallas Cowboys fandom is I literally became a fan right as the triplets went out the door, meaning right as Troy Aikman stopped being the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and Emmitt Smith was more focused on breaking the all-time rushing record as opposed to, winning Super Bowls, right as we brought in Dave Campo as our head coach and turned the reins to the great Quincy Carter to lead us to 5-11 seasons is when I became a Cowboys fan. So my fandom is primarily composed of just pain and only pain, and that's typically how I approach all things Dallas Cowboys because historically we've been given these glimmers of hope followed by, well, a pretty brutal dose of reality, and have become the laughingstock of the NFL as a result of that. If there's one thing that I'll always laud the Dallas Cowboys for, is that they are a remarkable business. They did a phenomenal job establishing the Dallas Cowboys brand, the significance of wearing a star on your helmet, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in almost 3 decades. And although I've been fairly critical on some of their previous decisions, for one, I understand having to pay Dak Prescott, but for the life of me, I can't remember the last time a max contract quarterback was able to win a Super Bowl. They did pay Ezekiel Elliott an obscene amount of money. They also signed Amari Cooper to a 4-year, $100 million contract, had Michael Gallup behind him, who is a 1,000-yard receiver, and then elected to draft CeeDee Lamb in the NFL draft just to prevent the Philadelphia Eagles from getting him. The list goes on and on with decisions that the Dallas Cowboys made that just, I don't know how I feel about them. For example, hiring Mike McCarthy, who pretty much is Jason Garrett 2.0, at least from my perspective. I don't want this to be a Dallas Cowboys hate video, but the thing that bothered me the most is when I woke up and I found out that my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, will officially be on this year's edition of HBO's Hard Knocks. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what Hard Knocks is, it's a reality TV show / documentary series that is fixated on one team and follows them around during training camp. Last year, it was the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, and typically the teams that are featured in Hard Knocks very rarely have any bit of regular season success. I don't know if that's a matter-of-fact type of thing, but it is a thing that has persisted throughout the lifespan of the show. This is the Cowboys' 3rd time being on Hard Knocks, and they were on All or Nothing about 3 years ago on Amazon Prime. So Jerry Jones loves being on reality TV, and the Dallas Cowboys once again will be on reality TV. And to be honest, they weren't my top pick to be on Hard Knocks, even though they are my favorite team. My top pick would have been the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like it would have been hysterical to see Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence trying to deal with the craziness of being a Jacksonville Jaguar. But of course, that isn't really the most conducive environment for any player to succeed in the NFL. So I could understand why Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't there, but there are a couple of storylines that we could follow along with the Cowboys, although I really don't feel good about the Cowboys being on Hard Knocks. I'm going to be honest. If there's anything that writes 6-10 or 8-8 season on the wall, and if it wasn't already written on the wall before, now it's officially like tattooed on the wall. And if I'm being honest, the storylines aren't necessarily the most captivating storylines in my opinion. For example, one of the things that we're going to be focusing on this offseason, at least during this training camp, is the fact that Dak Prescott is returning from a freak leg injury. And so far, at least what we're hearing about the situation is Dak Prescott is in tip-top shape. He's looking really good, and he's been crushing it in training camp. He's been on the same page with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb has been absolutely amazing during training camp with the Dallas Cowboys thus far. The storyline around this is, can Dak Prescott return to form, and can he prove that he's healthy enough to hit the ground running when training camp begins? The other storyline that I think is going to be fairly interesting is the fact that the Dallas Cowboys did bring along a new defensive coordinator that isn't a guy that Mike McCarthy felt like he owed a favor to. I'm talking about Mike Nolan before. Mike Nolan and Mike McCarthy are buddies because Mike Nolan gave Mike McCarthy an offensive coordinator position during 2005 when they were on the San Francisco 49ers together. They turned out to be horrible. The Cowboys let go of Mike Nolan because their defense turned out to be horrible, and they brought along Dan Quinn, a man that is notorious for choking leads in big situations for the Atlanta Falcons. But prior to that, he was a absolutely respected NFL defensive coordinator, and he has a decent amount of tools to play with. He has Micah Parsons, Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, who of course has been dealing with injuries, and one of those linebackers could see their roster spot overtaken by Micah Parsons. People were also wary about Micah Parsons for quote-unquote off-the-field issues. That's always very interesting to follow along with. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Dan Quinn is going to be able to work with this brand new defense. He did bring some old friends from Atlanta with him, like Keanu Neal. And honestly, I think this Dallas Cowboys defense has remarkable talent, but I think the one thing that has held them back, at least last year, is proper scheme and a proper head coaching staff. I think what I'm probably the most excited to see, and I think this is the one thing I always love watching in each and every episode of Hard Knocks, is the way the head coach addresses his players. I think my favorite version of this is getting an opportunity to watch Sean McVay do his thing last year. Was very interesting, very captivating. He has this energy that he brings to the head coaching position that I love. Whereas you look at John Gruden, he's way more of a general, but he's a comical general. He establishes discipline, but in a comical sense. Players respect him, but he doesn't mind cracking a joke here and there. I'm very interested to see how Mike McCarthy navigates the Dallas Cowboys conferences, navigates practice meetings, navigates film study. And I think that is probably the thing I'm most interested in as a Dallas Cowboys fan because, well, I've been hearing some not so nice things about Mike McCarthy, and I've always just kind of viewed him as a guy that was a bit of a slacker when it came to his job. This is a guy that left Green Bay because Aaron Rodgers was frustrated with the fact that he hasn't updated his offense in about 10 years. So it'll be very interesting to see how Mike McCarthy portrays himself in front of HBO's Hard Knocks. But needless to say, if you're a Cowboys fan, I know you might be excited, and maybe I'm a little bit too pessimistic for you guys, but this typically spells a team that is going to be only winning 5 to 7 games this season, maybe 8 games if they're lucky. But who knows? I could be wrong. Just know historically there's never been a team on HBO's Hard Knocks that has won the Super Bowl. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.